Welcome to our new series, The 200 Movie Challenge. Our goal this year is to watch 200 movies that we haven't seen yet. If you want to listen to the full podcast where this clip is from, the link will be in the description. Now enjoy today's movie.
I got to ask a question up front and just give me your honest Soto opinion. You don't,
Okay.
if I were to tell you what your thoughts of a cult were, or if I told you I was going to join a cult, what would you instantly think? What would you at first think, instinctively, when you hear the word cult?
When I hear the word cult,
Yes.
Oh my God, this is referencing that podcast we had about this. I always think of a sex cult. That's the first thing I go to. I'm like, danger, Will Robinson. I never think it's a good thing.
Okay, that right there, it's never a good thing. I always think
It's
about
never a good thing.
no. But that is everyone's gut
good.
reaction. Like I always think
I'm worried.
don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, for sure.
So Soda, I ask you that because I saw a movie, the 2024 movie called A Sacrifice. Now, this movie really deals with the idea of a cult, but it's not just the weird things that happen. You kind of see the innocence, how people can actually find themselves in a cult, because sometimes. Of course. So, and I think that makes this a little bit different, because you're right. Anytime I hear that word, you're like, oh, it's not a good thing. So, excuse me. This movie stars Eric Bana, whatever.
Yeah,
but
I remember him.
Also stars Sadie Sink. Actually, the second
from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Actually, the second movie, she was in The Whale, which we were just talking about. It's a movie I would never watch again, but was a very powerful movie. I say that, and I speaking of Stranger Things, I have not seen the new season, but anyhow, watching this, I realized something. I think out of all the young actors and actresses in Stranger Things, Sadie Sink is going to have a huge career. Like, we're going to see big. I think she's in the few movies I've seen of her this year for this project. Like, I'm like, she's a fucking good actress. I mean, I know like Stranger Things is its own thing, but the things she's done outside, I'm like, damn. So yes, obviously I mentioned cults. So she is visiting her dad, played by Eric Bana. She's going to Berlin, Germany. She's going to study. She's going to do a semester abroad. Her parents are obviously about to go through a divorce, yada, yada, yada. So, you got these strange parents. So that's why she's over there. And on the way on the train, she meets a guy. They kind of have like this flirtatious, nice connection. But you kind of find out that, yes, he talks about being part of this group. And, then this is later, they kind of, she goes out. But weirdly, I'm trying to find the way to piece a lot of this together, Soto. Because, yes, so she's having troubles because obviously she's also 16 years old in this. So she's at that time of her life, teenage angst, as you like to say, Soto. And, she's just going out party, and Erebana's like, just be careful because obviously this is not America. This is not different. People just can take advantage of you, disappear. But at the same time, she's just trying to find a place. And in a way, that's what this kid was doing. He just felt so alone. His grandma just passed. His parents died when he was young. So he doesn't even remember, actually, even before he got like young, like baby. So he doesn't even like remember who they were. So, and he's part of this group, but I say the whole innocent thing because you're kind of seeing it through his eyes, and then you kind of meet, for the lack of better terms, the cult leader or the leader of this kind of group. And you can just tell, like, she's the one, hey, we're just doing all that. You just know there's something more evil behind those eyes, this old woman, stuff like that. But he just believes in this idea of togetherness and stuff like that you kind of feel sorry for him. Because he just wants to be a part of something, not just something bigger, but just feel involved in this bigger group, just have someone love. And that's why I was saying that, like, so a lot of cult movies you see, like you talk about the sex cults. For me, like I said, it's just the ones that, and that's kind of what this does, just the idea of giving yourself, sacrificing yourself, for whatever reason. So yeah, there's a lot of dark undertones because you kind of see that he brings, like, even before him and Sadie Sink kind of see each other more often. He brings this other young girl, who he kind of, she actually kind of puts all the rocks in, and she just walks into a lake. Like, she has all these rocks in her, like, dress and stuff like that, and basically, but her body turns up, and that's how all this turns around. So Eric Bana, going to his character now, he is a psychologist, and he kind of is doing a study on, kind of like cults and stuff like that. Like, it starts off where he's allowed to go on because he's not a cop, but because his friend around there kind of can, do crime scenes, he's allowed to at least observe what's going on at this alternate thing. And that's how all this is weirdly connected. But, so I like I said, this is, again, another psychological luckily, this is only 95 minutes. This is not a 2.5 hour movie. This kind of gets right to the point. It keeps the story going, which you're right. I kind of enjoyed as well. But as I said, what this movie does is, like, then how, Sadie Sink's character, Hattie, or Mazzy, I don't know, Mazzy, she, is kind of falling in love with this guy, and she's kind of seeing this, because now, same thing, like, her parents are divorcing, her dad's now kind of seeing this other cop, and, falling in love with her. Her mom's obviously kind of moved on, you kind of see the split parents, 16-year-old, like, what the fuck, am I worth anything? And how she slowly is seeing this group, and, how she, like, hey, she kind of thinks of it as therapy at first, because, it's a way for her to talk things out, and, they understand me. But yeah, so there's really not much more to say. This movie does such a good job starting, and the father-daughter relationship's really good, but some of it, you just feels forced. And I kind of, just like I said, there's certain backstories that felt unnecessary. Like, they talk about how, she almost drowned when she was little, and Arabana couldn't, go and save her. It was his ex-wife that had to go in and save her, which felt like not a very important plot point until a certain part of the movie. You're like, this is why they said it. He has to overcome this fear. He's going to find, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like things were introduced, while a lot of this was interesting, a lot of things were introduced just for the sake of having this moment and not organic. That's the word I'm looking. It just didn't feel, the first half of this movie felt very organic, whereas the second half, it's just like, let's just get these characters in these situations. And then you're like, like, there was a little disappointment. I liked where this was going, and then there was just these weird turns that, while still a good movie, I just felt like this could have been so much better. I did not expect me to watch a cult movie. I did not know what to expect when I had Netflix and they show that train scene of them. I'm like, all right, hey, Sadie Sink, and that's pretty much why I played it. I'm like, I liked her in The Whale, and she does an amazing job in this. Actually, all the actors do an amazing job in this, but I don't know where the story lost its way, and that was kind of unfortunate, because I felt like this could be a more powerful movie, a more powerful subject. It just fell into the same cult tropes, and that kind of was actually kind of disappointing for me. So
Cults do the same. I've seen so many documentaries on cults. They end up the same way, and I joke around saying sex cults, but it always starts with this really positive idea, and it always ends up being about some fucked up sex thing. Always, like, the main person ends up getting, like, a harem of women, and, like, they do sexual favors for him, and it's always, like, at least, like, in real life. I don't know how this movie turns out, but in real life, it always ends up that way.
Yeah, no, this is, I will admit, and I will spoiler, I guess, non-spoiler, but this is nothing, no sex cult, nothing like that. No, so all that time, this is just more about kind of this older woman leader, and it's called this, like, because you're sacrificing, you find people to sacrifice for the greater, good of the group, which is never fully explained, and why. And I think that was kind of where I wanted to see the story go, why this woman does this, this, and how you can see why all these people follow her, and how they,
Sure.
the idea, because again, she's kind of has this group, and then you're like, oh, this is just her. Why is she getting these people to kill themselves, or fighting people so they can kill themselves willingly? What is that thought process? And I know there's probably so many different ways, but psychologists can look at it differently. But this just turned out, obviously, towards the end, just the father trying to find his daughter because she went missing, obviously. Even though, and that's basically what it is. This turned to be a lost and found film after that. So, first half of this was good. This, like I said, the acting was good. The story was just there. It just didn't finish. And I hate it when that happens because I felt it started off like we've had these movies like, oh, this is great. I see where this is going. This is interesting. Then you're like, oh, this is just like every other typical bad cult movie. And it's a shame because I really think with the people involved, this could have been so much better. But so where do I put this? Again, I'm not saying this is terrible. I don't hate it as much as I've hated half of my list.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of quickly looking. Ooh, maybe. All right. Again, we say this could change after I think about this a little bit because I know we kind of got thrown into this podcast a little earlier than I expected. At the moment. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I know I kind of shit talked the end, but overall it was still good. But at the moment, I'm feeling I'm going to put this at 39.
Hey, it's not bad.
No, this again, I don't want to. Even though I kind of shit at the end, it's still a movie. It still does what it's supposed to do. I said I didn't hate it. I just think it could have, like, if they would have gone more again about the young, a little bit more explanation why she does this and why. So many people are willing to follow it. Like I felt watching this in the first half that this was going to be another top 10 for me. Like it was going that route, Soto. And then,
wow.
Because it was, like I said, just the way you look, again, teenage angst, the young people, it showed a different light than we've seen a lot of cult movies. We see it from the leader's perspective, everyone just kills themselves, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of it. But again, they show a few characters kind of why they start into this. And like I said, some of them just, it's innocent. They don't look at it as, hey, I'm killing people. Because they're looking for a bigger reason and they think this is the way that they don't see what they're doing is wrong. Whereas, I feel like the cult leaders in general, they just do it because they're sadistic. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Narcissist, usually.
Yeah.
So extreme narcissists.